it's just about my own personal experience with cancer and how, you know, my friends and my family, and also through music, I love music, and how all of that together combined really helped get me through my difficult time. When I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with cancer. My foot started hurting, and it hurt for about a year. And we kept going back to the doctors, and they took x-rays, they put me through 6 months of physical therapy. They thought it could have been fallen arches, so they gave me shoe inserts, and nothing seemed to work. So after a year, it was so bad that I'd have to literally use crutches to get around every once in a while, and it was really difficult. And so what ended up happening is we had an MRI, and they found a tumor the size of a marble right in the middle of my foot. This kind of life. Then I remembered what you said to me. Ooh, you've gotta be free. You're holding back, quit holding back. Don't be afraid. But my mom went with me, and we went down to UCLA, and the doctor said that it looked like they got everything out and I should be good to go, and they'd call me within about 5 days with the results. And so I went home, and 5 days later I was kind of staying on the couch because I just had the surgery, couldn't really go up the stairs, and my mom answered the phone, and we only had one phone in the house at the time, and the cord was like this long, and it was right in the kitchen, right next to the living room. So I was in the living room, my mom picked up the phone, and it was the doctor's, and he's like, you know, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but we couldn't get everything out, and your daughter has a really rare aggressive form of cancer. We can do more surgeries to her foot, but there's going to be a 90% chance that it'd come quickly into her lungs, and she, you know, there'd be a 90% chance that she won't make it. And so the only thing that we can really highly suggest, even though it sounds scary, is for her to get a mid-calf amputation. But what I didn't understand is that my help lies in my hands, and I don't want to And so I went to Cottage Hospital in Santa Barbara, and I begged to be on pediatrics because I didn't want to be on the other floors because it was just so scary, and I knew that pediatrics at least was, you know, kind of fun, and not fun, but kind of, you know, as fun as it can be in a hospital. And so I was hooked up to chemo for 22 hours a day with an hour to shower and an hour to go out on the patio. And I went in for a week at a time, so 7 days for chemo, and then I'd go home for 2 weeks and then go back in, and it was supposed to be 11 months of this. And what happened is I ended up having my surgery on Halloween of 2003. I had my amputation surgery, and it was really scary, and I had to sign a paper saying, yes, you can, you know, take part of my leg, and it was something super intense to do as a 16-year-old, and it was so magical that night. It was supposed to be like a 2-hour session, and it turned a 13-hour session where they called all these studio musicians that recorded on everybody's albums, and they came and they all recorded, and it was so cool because at the time I had no idea, but one of the producers happened to be one of Mariah Carey's producers, and he was from Santa Barbara. I knew his little brother, went to his school, and so they asked if I wanted to come back the next day to watch them mix the song, and I was so excited. And so we came back and we watched them mix the song, and the producer, Damian Young, he said, you know, I was on the phone with Mariah yesterday. You might want to sit down. I was on the phone with Mariah, and she was asking me what was going on, so I told her your story, and she wanted to hear the song. So I sent her the song. She liked the song, and she wants to help in some way. And it just so happened that she was doing her Christmas show at the Arlington Theater in Santa Barbara in, I think it was like 6 weeks later. And so she wanted to know if I wanted to open the show. And so going from being in the hospital room to having to have this surgery, and the surgery was, I think, 2 days after the studio session down in LA. I had to go and have my amputation surgery, and then 6 weeks later being able to walk on stage with a prosthetic leg, and I was still bald, but I got to walk on stage and open for Mariah Carey in front of thousands of people, like from my own community. It was in Santa Barbara. That was just like, talk about a roller coaster ride. It was so amazing, and you know, that just made me have to get up. I had to get up. I had to open for Mariah Carey. I had something to do, and so that just made me want to push through this and want to, you know, live my life to the fullest. And so it was such an amazing journey. And since then, Nikki asked if I wanted to become a spokesperson for Teddy Bear, and so I decided to become a spokesperson for the foundation, and now I work there full-time and help other kids. And so I didn't get any financial support from them because they weren't officially of the foundation yet, but that was this is what we call a moment in time, is when we can create a moment for a child who's going through a difficult time. So that's another thing that we do, is we try to create these moments for the kids. If we find out that they like something, we try and help them in that way. So, so now it's been 6 years, and last Halloween, not this past one, but the one before, was my 5-year mark where I'm officially cancer-free. And after the show, the doctor said, you know, I also support American Cancer Society and do the Relay for Lives because they help support cancer research. And after I had my chemo and everything, they said that they didn't even have a type of chemo developed yet for the cancer that I had. So they were trying different types of chemo. So I think cancer research is a whole other really important factor. So I try to support that, as well as the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So
what are you going to be in this, now that you've made it through the fire there? So is this how you see your life, is staying with the Cancer Foundation? Is your musical career coming?
I definitely...
Some 60,000 people are going to see this, and hopefully one of them will be able to bring what Nikki brought to you.
Yeah. Well, meeting with the kids, working with Teddy Bear, I'm a program assistant, so I help deal with the families, and sometimes my favorite part of my job is sometimes I'll be able to go and play games with the kids at the hospital, and those kids are the people that I relate to most out of anybody ever. And being able to talk to the kids, being able to talk to the parents, and you know, when a kid is going through it, they don't have anybody to look to really. None of their friends are going through the same thing, and so to be able to be healthy and have gone through that, I just try to, you know, bring them hope and say that I've been there. You know, I totally know what you're going through. Maybe not to the extent of what they're going through, but I've been in the hospital bed, hooked through surgeries, and so I just try to help in whatever way that I can. And I know it's difficult as a parent watching your child, and it's difficult as a child. I remember having to feel like I needed to be so strong for my parents. So I'd never cry in front of them. I'd go to my friends' houses and cry, you know, because I just felt like I needed to be that strong support for them, just as they're being a strong support for me. So yeah, I love working for Teddy Bear. I want to be involved with them in some way for the rest of my life, I'm hoping, and also I'm pursuing music as well, and I wrote a song for the Make-A-Wish Foundation called Take My Hand, and got to perform that at different Make-A-Wish events. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation did this series of dolls, like little inspirational dolls that they sold across the United States, and they asked if they could put my name in one of my stories, or you know, part of my story as part of one of their dolls. So there's a little Becca Rockstar doll out there, which is like just really fun, it's just so cool to be involved in all of the cancer foundations, and I know that this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. We had